Shawn Michaels and his forfeited titles. There is no denying that Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. He has had classic match after classic match dating all the way back to when he was part of the Rockers to the day that he retired at WrestleMania 26. Well, not counting that terrible tag match in Australia. The thing is, despite all his accomplishments, during his run in the 90s, he was regarded as one of the most unprofessional and difficult to deal with wrestlers on the roster. Today, we are looking at how many titles Shawn Michaels managed to lose without getting his shoulders pinned or tapped out. As always, thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe and hit that like button with a super kick if you like the video. Leaving the title on top of a ladder. The first time that Shawn Michaels would lose a title without actually losing it happened in 1993. During this time, he was the Intercontinental Champion and he was stripped of the title due to failing a drug test. He disputes this in his book, and to be honest, when you look at his physique during this time, you do have to say he has a point. The storyline reasoning for this was that he was stripped of the title for not defending it, but that was just to cover things on TV. Interestingly, this all worked out best as it resulted in the amazing ladder match against Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. You could argue that out of all the titles on this list, this is the one that you cannot put 100% of the blame on Shawn Michaels for. Do you guys think that the WWF was right to strip him of the title for the failed drugs test? Let me know in the comments below. Two dudes with attitudes. Shawn Michaels and Diesel were a fantastic pairing. They worked so well together and they had pretty much instant chemistry. While Diesel would start as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard, he would soon turn into a wrestler in his own right. In 1994, Shawn Michaels and Diesel would become the WWF Tag Team Champions for the first time in August of 1994 when they defeated the Head Shrinkers. There was some dissension in the ranks and Shawn Michaels had super kicked Diesel on more than one occasion, and it would happen again at the 1994 Survivor Series in November. This time it would lead to the team breaking up, but they were still the tag team champions, so they just vacated the titles without actually losing them. Do you think that the WWF should have had them lose the titles before this happened? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Two dudes with too much attitude. By September 1995, Diesel and Shawn Michaels had patched things up and both were baby faces. Also, Diesel was the WWF champion and Shawn Michaels was the Intercontinental champion. At In Your House 3, there was a special doubleheader match that pitted Yokozuna and Owen Hart, who would be replaced by the British Bulldog, who were the tag team champions, going against Diesel and Shawn with all the titles on the line. Shawn and Diesel would win the title due to a run-in by Owen Hart, but they pinned a man who was not legal. So they were stripped of these tag titles because of it. To be fair, on this occasion it was a storyline reason, but still, that made these guys two-time tag team champions without them ever dropping the titles. The Marine. The very next month, Shawn Michaels would famously forfeit his Intercontinental Championship at In Your House 4. This is a very famous story that basically boils down to Shawn Michaels getting into a fight outside of a nightclub and getting beaten up pretty badly. There have been different versions of this story told over the years, but the end result was that at the pay-per-view, Shawn Michaels came out and forfeited the title to Dean Shane Douglas, who would then go on to lose the title the same night to Razor Ramon. What are your thoughts on the whole Marine story with Shawn Michaels, and what version of the story do you believe? Losing his smile. You always have to say that in the ring, Shawn Michaels was amazing during the 90s. However, his reputation backstage was not great, and even now, not many people have many positive things to say about him when it comes to what he was like outside of the ring. In February 1997, he was the WWF champion, and it looked set that WrestleMania 13 would feature a rematch between him and Bret Hart for the title. Well,
I've lost a lot of things, and one of them has been my smile. And I have to go back and I have to find my smile because somewhere along the line, I lost it.
Shawn famously lost his smile and was forced to forfeit the title on Raw. The majority of people believe that this was all a lie and that he simply did not want to drop the title to Bret Hart at WrestleMania. Even now, all these years later, many wrestlers think that the supposed knee injury he had was nowhere near as bad as he claimed. Of course, these events would lead to us getting Bret Hart vs Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, which is one of the greatest matches of all time. Still, what do you guys think about the whole losing his smile thing? Do you believe that he was actually injured, or did he just not want to drop the title to Bret? Let me know. Teaming with a rattlesnake. Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin would have some problems in 1997 that would end up with the two facing off at that year's King of the Ring pay-per-view. During this time, Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin would actually win the Tag Team Championship. Things backstage during this time were getting out of control, and there would be a backstage fight with Bret Hart, and this would lead to Shawn Michaels being stripped of the tag titles as a punishment. So by this point, Shawn Michaels was a 3-time tag team champion, but he never actually lost the titles. Helping a friend. Okay, so it is debatable if you can count this one, but Shawn Michaels would hold both the WWF Championship and the European Championship at the same time towards the end of 1997. He had to fight his friend and fellow DX member Triple H for the title, but he had just laid down for Triple H so that he could become the champion. To be fair, this was a storyline and it did help the pair get some heat, but again, it was another championship that he lost without properly losing it. We can all agree that in the ring, few, if any, are better than Shawn Michaels. However, his attitude during the 90s was out of control, and there is a long list of unprofessional behaviour that he did during this time, which for some reason he seemed to get away with more often than not. What are your thoughts on the number of titles Shawn Michaels lost without getting his shoulders pinned? As always, wrestling fans, I'll see you in the next videos.